The next tool we're gonna be talking about is Everscroll. And you can't really see Everscroll when you're gonna click on Q menu with something selected. And the reason for that is simply because this mesh is in a wrong mesh state. The only way to see Everscroll is when you have a live boolean, at least one, on your mesh. Then you can go here and click on Everscroll and recover your cutter. Now this Everscroll goes a bit deeper than this, so let me just create more cutters here and I'll show you what it does. Let's click on Everscroll, and by default when you're gonna be scrolling with your mouse, you can scroll through all the cutters and you can see them in here, right? And if you're gonna stop scrolling, let's say you wanna recover this one, you click and you can start working on this cutter. Well, normally when I work with hard ups and box cutter and I want to work on a cutter that I just performed, I'm gonna simply hold shift to shift it to live. So when I cut, I hold shift and I click, and it's going to keep the cutter highlighted here so I can actually, work on it, adjust it, move it, whatever. By default, if you're not going to change settings in here in advanced settings for box cutter, the cutter is gonna be hidden, right? So now Everscroll is a way to recovering these cutters from the cutter collection. So instead of pressing Alt H, which is going to reveal all the cutters, which is a complete mess sometimes, especially when you have a lot of cutters, this is a far better way of working with booleans. But you have more options here than just recovering one cutter. So first let's go through these shortcuts here. First one's gonna be shift modifiers. Now the shift Everscroll will not really work very well here in the 4.3 because we have a smooth by angle added as a modifier, which is the last modifier. So let me show you this in 4.0. This tool is not really usable in the new version of Blender unless they're going to fix it somehow and bypass the last modifier being smooth by angle, because in 4.0 auto smooth isn't a modifier but it's actually here embedded in the data. If I'm going to run a shift scroll, it's gonna simply behave normally and show me a clean, sharp mesh. And you can see how these modifiers kind of create your shape, which is, I don't know why would you need that, but it's there if you want it. Next one's gonna allow you to, this one, control click, allow you to recover all the child objects, and all the cutters are parented to the mesh, right? You can see here there's a parenting line. Box cutter does it by default. And if you're going to use this option, you're going to uncover all the children and you're gonna be able to see all the cutters. I never really use it, but it's there if you want it. And the last one is actually quite useful. It's multiply. So it's the same option as here, and it's going to apply all the modifiers to your mesh except for the last bevel and weighted normal modifiers. So if I'm gonna run this one, Alt click, all my modifiers were applied. Let me just add bevel and the weighted normals, right? And now I'm going to run smart apply, see what happens. Go here, smart apply, and you see bevel and the weighted normals are left, but the rest, including mirror, was applied. So if you want to apply all the booleans and all the mirrors and other modifiers, that's how you do it, okay? Smart apply. Now let's go back here because we have more options to talk about in terms of Everscroll. Let me just create more cutters. There we go. Q, Everscroll, and let's go. So first here you got this similar gizmo or kind of a menu to AccuShape and also the array. We talked about it, and you can manually choose these booleans here. You can toggle them on and off if you want to, the visibility. You can also do this by pressing V, by the way. Here, if you press V, you can toggle the visibility of a modifier. And here you can also lock the modifier object visibility, so this is gonna bring it to life, yeah? So you can enable these modifiers manually here. Another way of doing this, and I think it's much easier, gonna be by holding control. So let's say I have multiple cutters here and I wanna work not just on one cutter, but two cutters. If I'm going to click here and enable this one, and I wanna also enable this one's gonna disappear. So the way you enable both is you go to Everscroll, you hold control, and you're gonna see these dots. And when you hover over, it's gonna show you a quick preview of which cutter you are about to select. And you can click and you're gonna enable them both. This is very useful when you wanna work on multiple cutters like this, for example, at the same time, right? Other options here are kind of self-explanatory, like for instance, if you press A, you're gonna be enable or disabling the visibility of this cutter, etc. But This one here, the recursive boolean, may be a bit confusing, so let me show you what it is. This one here is really important, so let's talk about it. It's quite powerful actually. So let's say I'm going to grab this cutter and I'm going to cut it, right, with another boolean like this. And when I'm going to be scrolling through my booleans, so let's say I have more booleans in here, right? This boolean that cuts the boolean, which is called recursive boolean, it's not going to be shown. So watch, I scroll through, you see you can't see it. So what if I wanted to work on that boolean, right? I wanted to reveal it to work on that boolean specifically. You can press R, then you can simply scroll through your recursive boolean. We have only one here, click, and you're going to be able to grab that and work on it. So this is a really powerful option when you want to adjust a boolean that cuts another boolean. That's called recursive boolean, okay? So that's what these options are for. And another one here is Shift V, which is going to hide all the modifiers, all the boolean in the mesh. So instead of hiding one of them with V, Shift V is going to hide all of them. And there you go. So these will be the most important things you need to know about Everscroll. It's a very powerful option. And again, remember, it's only accessible when you have active booleans running on your mesh. This is also going to work for cutters, because when you have a cutter selected, and you have a cutter running on that cutter, you can also run Everscroll on that cutter. It's simply below this main menu here, so it's here, right? Just moved a bit lower, because it's not really the most important thing you may be willing to do with a cutter. Yeah, you may want to solidify it or do other things that are more important, like array it, that are more important than, recovering a cutter on this cutter. So there you go, that's how it works.